Hello. What's up? This is episode 12. Tried something a little different this time. I didn't wear headphones because I have a theory. We'll see if people agree with me, but I feel like I am less energetic when they're on. Like I have them on right now. I feel like my levels are lower because I can kind of hear my good lord, I can kind of hear myself, and so it's not like what do you call it? Like I don't feel like I have as good a flow as I would if I didn't, and like I don't know. We'll see what happens because I fucking talk to myself in my car all the time, and I'm like fucking energetic and shouty and shit and whatever. So I don't know. Maybe this one sounds like a complete nightmare. You will hate it. I also didn't just sit at the desk and talk. I like kind of carried my mic around the room and kicked shit over and moved my chair a lot and all that stuff. So there's gonna be a little bit of background noise, but I was kind of just trying something a little different. Hopefully it's not the worst thing ever. I don't really know. I don't know. Let me know. But it was. I enjoyed this one. I had fun doing this one. I think this might. If this one goes well, this might just be how I kind of do the solo ones that occasionally will pop up here and there. Mostly this one was solo because I had to reschedule. I had to reschedule the one that was going to be this week, and then my replacement canceled. So fuck me. We're just doing this one. We just did this one by ourselves. But yeah, without further ado, here you go. Hello and welcome to episode 12, I think. I don't really know, of Your Brain on Tom. It is just me today, but let's make it not total shit like the last one that was just me, where I just kind of fucking, I don't know, I was tired or something, I don't fucking know, but now I'm like a monster deep, and fucking let's go until this fire burns out. So, we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about other things that are fucking hot garbage, like Garfield Go. For those unaware, Garfield has now taken itself to the future, and we are now dealing with a Pokemon Go 1-to-1 ripoff with Garfield, where you go around and collect like fucking coins or something and throw lasagna at them or something. I think you can put hats on them. I'm not sure. And I don't know why that exists, but it does. And I think you can get like gift cards or something. So says another podcast I listen to that I get all my news from. So we're just gonna roll off of that. Weird though. I don't know why that exists, but it does, and I hope it becomes just as big. We make Garfield great again. So let's do that. I'm already just rambling off. I wrote things down. I'm gonna look at it now. Oh yeah. So fuck that. Fuck. Oh well. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I finally, after good lord, 3 months, something like that. 5 months? No, 3 months. Finished Persona 5. 100 hours, easy. Not to mention the 2 other save states I have just to fucking get trophies, because I've become a monster, and that's all I fucking try to do now, and try to get trophies, and I'm gonna platinum this game. For those unaficionated, it means doing 100%, basically. But yeah, so I'm just gonna do that now. Immediately upon beating it, going to work and coming home, I was like, fuck, I wanna play this game again. And immediately started it over. So I'm back in it, playing that game again. With the only way I can get 100%, I have to literally do like practically a full playthrough. I don't think I'd have to do the last dungeon, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I'm going to be finishing like right up to it, so I'd have to fucking do it anyway. Because I'm not, I would have to, if my numbers are correct, and I know what dates things happen on, because everything happens on a calendar date system, so only certain things can trigger after certain events. If I didn't totally fuck up the last time, then the last request will come in, which is like a side quest, basically, will come in like mid to early December, which is the last month of the game. So I'd probably have to deal with that and do that. Who knows where that's gonna go? But God, is it fun? God damn it, so good. Fucking so many cool fucking shit with like fight, because it's a JRPG we're dealing with here. We're not fucking playing fucking I don't know, whatever, your typical Japanese RPG, JRPG, if you will. You fucking, you start fighting God. The fucking end of all of those games, some God shows up and says, hey, I mean, it fucking happens in every Final Fantasy game, happens in fucking every Persona game, I think the big thing about SMT, the series Persona spawns from, Shin Megami Tensei. I don't remember what that means. Something about a goddess. The one true goddess, something like that? I forget, doesn't matter. They basically all involve, not Satan. Yahweh is the the god of order. I forget who the god of chaos is, but they're basically chaos and order, and then fucking the apocalypse. But yeah, you just, holy shit, just the symbolism of everything in Persona 5. I'm a fucking idiot and didn't realize that all the palaces are based off the fucking 7 Deadly Sins. Didn't realize that until, like, I was watching some YouTube video and they're like, oh yeah, I think it's kind of cool. And I was like, oh, what? And every fucking one of the trophies that you do for completing one is named after 7 Deadly Sin. And I was like, okay, I'm retarded. I guess I didn't notice this. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'm always a big fan of that. I think it's kind of cool that, like, how much of that, and, like, near the end of the game, you fight the fucking archangels. That was fucking rad as shit. They just kind of show up. They're, like, part of the walk up, like, just random enemies as they're on their way up or whatever. But that's kind of cool that they had, like, a narrative to, like, things you were fighting. Like, the things would show up, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. Like, sure, like, I had already created, like, you can create all the archangels. Like, I was fucking running around with Lucifer as my persona, and using that, and just fucking blowing shit up and all that stuff. I had Satan at one point. There are 2 separate ones. There's generally 3 forms of Satan in this series. At least in 3 and 4. There's, like, his angel form, his, like, big devil form, and then, like, the one, like, a weird monster form, which is Satan. Satan's, like, a monster one. The devil one is Lucifer. And I forget, Hellel, maybe, is his angel name? I forget. But yeah, he's, like, him, like, as, like, an angel, a typical angel. And then there's, like, the archangels. You usually can play, Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, etc. So there's, like, they always have these things in the game. You can make them. I was using fucking Raphael forever. He's, oh god, so good. He was so good. Using him forever. And then, yeah, so, like, but you can, like, run into them again. Like, it's kind of just cool. Like, they give you, like, a theme to areas you're, like, when you're doing certain things, like, they'll use the weird, like, and that's the one thing, too. I guess I should establish that. Is, like, Persona, and I guess all of SMT in general, its big thing is, like, basically all religions are right, or, like, at least to the point of, like, every deity and god existed in some form or another, whereas there's always a greater god and a bigger god and a big, there's, like, the god, the one that makes everything. That generally exists, and there's usually just some kind of pantheon of, like, this shit exists. And then, but they'll also have the every other thing, like Shiva's in the game, fucking Vishnu, and, like I said, the archangels are in there, and, what else is there? Thor, Odin, like, these things, they're all in there. You can always find them. Also, other, like, things like Mothman from fucking, where is that? Is that New Jersey? No. I forget what that is. But, like folklore and shit like that. So the lower ones in the fucking, like, the lower level ones, they're, like, your lore, your folklore, your lore characters, your Mothman, for example. And then your upper tier ones are, like, big gods and this other crazy shit. And I always think it's so kind of cool, where it's like, oh, all this shit exists, and you can actually, in all of them, at least in, I only noticed it in SMT4, but I'm pretty sure you can do this in all of them. But you can check what they'll have, like, a little paragraph kind of explaining who everyone is. Because sometimes I recognize the name, but, like, their designs are super Japanese and, like, fucking all wacky and crazy. So I kind of have to, like, check, like, what they actually are, and be like, oh right, I've heard of this before. Like one group they have a lot of it, the Sumerian gods, Baal, Mot, that kind of stuff. So, like, I've heard of them. I didn't realize they were from, like, Samaria or whatever that fucking area is called. So I had, like, you can click a thing, you can check out and see what they're all from and all that shit. But yeah, good lord, what a game. It's so good. Oh my god. And it's just the big thing I like about it, and, like, I love all the other 2 Persona games leading up to this. But damn, does it not just fucking do everything right? Like, I don't know. Persona 3, old. It's an old game. If you're going to never play this series, you want to, like, give it a shot. You're not going to want to go backwards, even a little bit. Like, they're so much older. They feel so much more dated. But to go through the series, start at 3. Now, it might sound weird to those that are unaware, but Persona 3, 4, and 5, I think I talked about this briefly in the first episode, but, like, how 1 and 2 were a separate thing, and then they kind of reimagined the series after 3, but they kind of kept the numbering. All I'm aware of is, like, a couple of characters from 2 show up on the TV. Like, if you walk up and talk to a TV, it'll just have, like, a text box. I believe a couple of characters from 2 show up on the TV, and maybe the company that Mitsuru's dad works for is referenced with someone from 2, maybe? Am I wrong? I forget. Something to do with the company Mitsuru's dad works for, either like the rival company or his company appeared in 1 and 2 or something like that. So there's not many connections, but there's generally not many connections throughout the series. Like in 5, they reference 3 once on TV. The fucking Yukari being a Power Ranger, her show is on one day when you walk up to the TV and talk to it. One day, it'll talk about the Pink Ranger, and if you just know that's where she ends up, that's what that is. And then there's pictures of Rise on the wall and stuff. So like who's the navigator from 4. So there's not a lot of references, and like you can generally just pick up at anyone and just go. But man, 5 it iterates on everything so well. The fucking social links having impact on everything, so good. Baton Pass changes battle like you wouldn't fucking believe. Goddamn, mwah, so good. All the characters are interesting to some extent or another. Big fan of just how they all just fucking everything so cool, so good. Oh my god, so fun. Just good lord. But yeah, I kept hearing everyone when they were beating it on these other podcasts I listened to and other people I've talked to. They beat the game, they immediately start over. I'm like, that sounds crazy. This game's 100 hours long. How could anyone fucking do that? That's so insane. But realistically, I totally get it now. Like, I'm totally there. Like, once I got there in my own life, I was like, yep, nope, makes sense. Like, all I want to do is play this game again. This game is so fucking good. And also, it comes down to, like I have 6 trophies left to 100% it. And 3 of which you can only do in New Game Plus. So I'm knocking them out Mike all over the place. The only 3 of them you have to do New Game Plus. And then the other 3, I had just missed. It's like you have to hear a certain amount of lines from your navigator, your second navigator, the one that's exclusively the navigator, and not Morgana, your party member, who's baller, by the way. She's so good. Or Morgana's a dude, I guess. The cat. The cat's so good. Oh my lord. If you're not using the cat, you're fucking up. The cat's fucking amazing. Holy shit. Yeah, just a good lord. But yeah, you have to hear like 250 voice lines. Which sounds like not a ton for a game that's 100 hours, but a lot of the lines are repeated over and over again. Like, basically every situation has 2 lines. So, you kill an enemy, Futaba's going to say one of the 2 lines that she's going to say when that particular character killed that enemy or whatever. But she'll have lines for all the status effects, all those different situations you're in. But she has like 2 each. I forget how many total. I think there's like 375 lines total or something. As compared to, I guess in 4, there's similar trophy exists with Rise's lines. I guess that's really a pain in the ass to get, whatever. But what are you going to do? But I have to do that one. The requests, which are just side quests that you find throughout, or one character will call you and tell you about them and stuff like that. And then I think the other set of those you get from different social links. They'll have like a little event. And they're like, man, everything sucks. And you have to go kill something or whatever. I may have talked about this briefly earlier before, but just catching everyone up. What was the last one I'm missing? I forget. Oh, the Compendium is the New Game Plus one. What was it? I forget. I'm missing one other one. So I'm missing the Futaba Lines one, the Compendium, the Requests. There's 3. And then what else would there be? I don't remember. Oh, the 2 hidden ones, which I won't say what they are, because I don't know what they are, and they're mildly, the one's kind of a spoiler, the other one's not. What the fuck was the last one I'm missing? I don't remember. Doesn't matter, I guess. Confidants. Having all social links. That's what it was. Which, I mean, you could do in one playthrough. You could do that and request. I mean, if you do the confidant one, where you get all the social links maxed, you have to do the, one. You have to do the request one, because you can't pursue certain social links without that. So, those 2 kind of work together. And then the Futaba Lines one is just kind of like, you can get that one also in your first playthrough, but like, if you're not trying to get it, position yourself to get it, it can be kind of tricky. I think like a couple, after I beat it, because I thought I was going to get it, because at the last boss, there's like unique status effects, so I figured I would trigger it just because like a couple characters would get these new status effects, but I guess I didn't, so I must have been off. I don't know how much. So this time around, I'm going to keep track, try to keep that number going. Sorry if you hear me moving shit. It's hot as fuck in here, so I'm just taking stuff off. It's hot. Yeah, so gotta get those done, but oh god, the game's so good. Could not recommend that game enough. Now, the only thing I would say, to not get it is it's fucking super Japanese and super weird, so I can totally understand it if you're like, well, this is not very fun, and it's long as fuck. So if you're just kind of not in the mood to being a Japanese school student and fucking running around and having potentially the best fucking turn-based combat ever, a lot of people aren't into turn-based combat anymore. It's a fucking damn shame. It's a fucking goddamn shame. It's so good, so fun, so like fun to come up with strategies, figure shit out. It's a good time. I'm a big fan of it. I wish more things would do it. I really wish this fucking Not Persona, Final Fantasy VII thingamabob there, the remake, would actually fucking have it again. But no, they're not going to do that. Which, I guess you could say, like, well, just play the original one. And yeah, you're fucking right. I could just play the original one. But, whatever. I will play the original one again, because that one's good. It's a good game. I don't want to fucking deal with, like, the only action RPG that's fucking worth anyone's salt is fucking Kingdom Hearts, which, I mean, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, fucking, I would say if I had to judge how games should be judged, I guess, it would be what I would do. And I would say that you broke into 3 categories: gameplay, aesthetics, which would be like visuals and music, and story. And so a good game would be, what would I had I do the math again? 60-20-20? Is that up? Yeah. So like 60-20-20 would be like, you want that in gameplay, and then 20% in visuals, 20% in story. I think that would be that's a good game, because the game works. Similar to like, well, see, now that doesn't perfectly work, because there are things like, I guess it kind of does work even today, because like, sure, things look nice today, but like not everything looks, like Uncharted, for example, is far more like way more visually based and narrative driven, but the gameplay is fucking abysmal. It's so bad. Oh my lord. Why do people talk about Uncharted like it's a good thing? Good lord. Nothing happens in it. Absolutely fucking nothing happens in it. That's like fucking worth the salt. I don't want to keep saying that phrase. But it's not good. Like, the gameplay's terrible. But, people want it for the story. Even though I don't think the story's that great, I would definitely say that one leans heavier in the aesthetics category, where it's like visually appealing, and sure, it's probably only like 20%, maybe 10% in fucking gameplay, but the rest of it gets split somewhere. It depends on where you actually feel. Obviously, this is going to be objective, because you might think, oh, the story's great, but really nothing happens that changes anything. And a lot of them, like 2 is probably the best one out of all of them, but like nothing changes when it's over. Like, you just kind of saw a bunch of cool stuff, and like Drake isn't any better. I think he might be with Elena at the end of that. I'm not even sure. I honestly can't even tell what happened. Like, the end just kind of ends. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of whack. So I don't really think I would judge that one in a way that's like, oh yeah, this one's totally worth, this one has a lot of story, because I just don't think it does. But I think with something like Kingdom Hearts, for example, would be the whole 100%, like 60% in the story, in the gameplay. Because like Kingdom Hearts 2 is fucking dope. It plays so well. But like, the story, if you're not into that, it's fucking whack. It doesn't make any sense. Especially 2. 2's story is so bad because it's so neutered by the necessary, like, pre-reading. Like, you don't, like, and the crazy thing about the whole thing is when it released, that didn't exist. But now, going into 2, you can understand what's happening, you understand who's what and why things are happening if you play the games that are around 2, or, like, that are to supplement 2's story, because it's just a like, if you don't play Chain of Memories, you don't see half of the Organization 13, because you killed them in Chain of Memories. And this is in the original 2, obviously in Final Mix, the what's it called? Chamber of Remembrance, that allows you to boss fight all 13 members of the Organization 13 as data battles, so they're all dead already, but like, you can fight them again in there. So you can have a fight with all of them, and actually in Final Mix you also get an actual boss fight with Roxas as opposed to not, which is a dope fucking boss fight, if I may say so myself. It's fucking rad. Actually, all those boss fights are pretty cool once you do the Organization battles, but I digress. You wouldn't see half these things. So if you just figured like, oh, it's Kingdom Hearts 1, it's Kingdom Hearts 2, the story doesn't make any sense, because like the Organization 13, but I think you only fight, I want to say like 6 of them, if that. I'm not going to count right now out loud, but like, it's not a lot. You do not see a lot of them. Maybe you do fight 6 of them. I forget. But like, you don't see a lot of them. It might be more, it might be less. I don't care. I'm getting distracted by this number, but it's not a lot. You don't see a lot of them. There's a lot of them that just kind of go missing. If you don't know who they are, falling away from the mic. If you don't know who they are, or what their deal is, or what, it's going to hurt you. You're going to be like, well, it's going to hurt the story. And then, but there are games out there like Street Fighter Over 2 that show you about the story and the characters, and there's fucking, Street Fighter Chain of Memories, for example. Whatever, however you want to put it. Those 2 games kind of came, they fit in the timeline between 1 and 2, so it helps you bring, so the story can be kind of a mess, but the gameplay's so good. Visuals, if you're not into like the cartoony Disney anime blend thing, it might not be your deal, so that's kind of like my argument would be that, gameplay would be the big piece of the pie, still making it a good game because there's this chunk. So basically, a chunk of this pie has to be majority of some kind of one of these three aspects that you could, and depending on who you are as a person, there are people who are graphics whores and they're going to say, the aesthetic section is going to be a bigger deal. But then you might not also be a graphics whore, but the music makes the game for you. Just because the music's so good, you can just play this game all the time and you don't give a fuck how good or bad it is. Kind of like how Final Fantasy VII, I would say, or even Final Fantasy VIII. I think the gameplay is not great. It's not very fun. Story is kind of nonsense, but the music is really fucking good. So all right. I guess it's not good enough for me, and I'm not so into music that I'm just going to sacrifice the other two categories, because I would prefer gameplay being the bigger chunk, so I would value games that have that over there. However, in Persona's case, I truly feel like it does all of them really well. Story, I could see someone arguing that story's not its strong point, because it's not the actual... Now, see, story is complicated as well, because we could argue that the individual stories matter more than the grand story. So, even Final Fantasy VII, for example, the individual stories of each character, their backstories, who they are, how they grow, how they change, all their side quests that you can take for them. For some of them, their stories parts are based on the main story. You have to go to this location. You have to meet Barrett's hometown and meet the people that were affected by, his decisions and that kind of stuff in the story. You can't avoid that. But Yuffie or Vincent, for example, you have to go out of your way and go find them. But you could argue that their stories, their individual stories, are more impactful than, say, the grand story of Cloud's got to go save the day from Meteor. And where Meteor comes from, all that stuff. You could say that that's kind of... Maybe, and honestly, I probably would agree, it's a little bit of a mess. That's not very clear, the whole what Sephiroth is, why that's, that he's dead, and it's just all this, the Genova stuff, is a bit of a mess. It's not perfectly laid out, it's a little bit whatever. But I would agree that the individual stories mean a lot, and them as people, or characters, feel as people, based on the way they structure the whole thing. So, you're gonna have to, but I would say for Persona's case, the individual character stories are a little bit more impactful than the grander story. It's better than 4. I honestly feel like 4's story might get a little too filleted. It's not that great. There's a lot of weird things that happen in it, but the individual characters, and again, that would only really be your party members in this case, whereas in 5, I think some of the side confidant stories, or side social link stories, whatever term you want to use, were far better. And they meant so much more, and were so much more interesting than, say, the Persona 4 ones. However, now, I could also see the argument that you don't actually see things happening. Like the fortune one, for example, in 5, the fortune teller girl, she goes off and does stuff. Things happen to her, and then she comes back and tells you about them. So it's kind of just exposition to her story and what's going on with her. But it's a compelling thing that's happening. It's her growth. You kind of see her growth. So you talk stuff with her, you talk it out, she goes off and implements it and comes back and tells you how things are going. You kind of see her grow in a very pretty compelling way. And also, it helps that upgrading her social link benefits you tremendously until about rank 7, and then rank 8 through 10, who gives a fuck? But you're already there for the ride, you might as well. Rank 7 is just too good. Just let you bonus for 5,000. 5,000 yen, you can bonus any fucking social link. Fucking boners. And another thing I really like about this New Game Plus thing is some of these social links, they care you, if you go and talk to them on the last day, they'll give you I don't know, fucking some gift, and it can be anything though. Yosuke's was his gigantic painting, so it doesn't really matter. But basically they just give you a key item that carries over into New Game Plus, and then you can use that, or basically when you start the social link, you immediately unlock, either for some of them, like Mishima, every single advantage. He does not, leveling him up does not give you anything in the New Game Plus. You already unlock every single thing he can give you. But Temperance just gives you special massage, which is the thing that lets you do stuff after dungeons, which normally you just have to go to bed, but if you have that one, you can proceed. So they'll give you something, continuing. And Fortune Teller gives you all fortunes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I haven't gotten that far yet. I just finished the first palace, so I'm an eighth of the way through. That's not fair, because the last palace section area is huge. Like, probably, like, I mean, the very last, like, social link in-game day that you can, like, do shit, your last day you're free is the 22nd, and then the 24th is, like, the last day you play, but that day in gameplay is, like, 3 hours. Like, you're doing so much on the 24th. It's crazy. You just keep going. It's like so many boss fights. It's the big last dungeon day type thing. So you're just going. You're doing so much shit. Things just keep happening. It just keeps going and going and going. But it's pretty cool. And it builds well, and the environments are cool and all that shit. So it's worth it. And you're changing stuff so much, so you don't even notice how long it is. But it is a long section. And there's just tons of cutscenes and stuff, too. The date thing at the end. Usually, so in 3... I guess I should just clarify this to begin with. You can basically, if you're not familiar, Persona is like a virtual novel. Generally speaking, they're just, picture books that you pick, a choose your own adventure book, but in a game, you just pick your options and move through. So Persona, when you're out of the dungeons, is similar to that, and in a lot of visual novels, it involves you having sex with the various members of the cast of this visual novel. Persona, no stranger to this. Not really sex. Like, it was more heavily implied in 4 when you finish the female. Only females, which I don't care. That's all I want anyway. Makoto Nijima, best girl ever to ever live. Holy shit. They will never top her. She's so good. Fucking a fantastic party member, cute as a button. Fucking really smart, really cool. She's almost like a second leader. She's awesome. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so you can like date the women and all that stuff. And in 3, it was not advised to be having multiple relationships. Do not have multiple relations with multiple women. They find out, they get mad. It's the only game. This might happen in 4, but I never had this happen. I had it happen once in 3, and I've never seen it happen since. If I keep falling away from the mic, I'm holding this in my hand right now. I don't want to fucking put it on my table and just talk. Feeling energetic. You can enter a reverse state where you fuck up the social link and it goes backwards a rank. And I don't actually remember how it goes when you rank it up, because I don't think it goes through that step again, because the steps, every time you level one up, it's a unique event in the thing. So like, someone within their story shows up and you gotta talk through a section, or someone threatens someone, and so the rank ups are like points of action. And leading up to Persona game, or the other Persona games leading up to 5, if you just went for a hangout, you weren't leveling up that day, you were just kind of hanging out, and it was usually just the two characters sitting next to each other, and it'll have like a little blurb being like, oh, and you hang out all day, and then it makes it look like you guys are talking. But in 5, you can hang out and go somewhere, because you have the city of Tokyo, basically, so you can travel to different locations, like, there's a planetarium, a ramen shop, a bookstore, a shopping district. There's different areas, and you take different characters based on their personality to different areas and do stuff like that. Was I talking about the dating thing? Yeah, I was. Yeah, okay. So, basically, every time you rank something up, there's an event. There's like a little cutscene, basically, and you answer questions, and you see if you get the points. If you enter that state in 5, you always rank up. If it'll say you're going to rank up soon, you're always going to rank up regardless of how well you perform. But if you perform well, it helps you close the gap to the next rank. Sometimes you can go like level up, and you just keep going straight through. You don't have to do the hangout stuff. You want to avoid those generally just because they take up time, and you're on a clock. You only have a year. I say in air quotes, but in reality, you just have you don't usually have past December. Persona 4 Golden is the only exception to that, giving you the extra month of January, or did they give you January and February? Maybe it's just January. So you kind of have a little bit extra time in that one. Because the games usually start in April. April. They start in April. The 3 and 4 start April 11th, my birthday, which I thought was weird because I bought the 4th one on my birthday. It's the first M-rated game I ever bought. Fucking first and only game I've ever been carded for, which is weird. And then I bought that then, and I thought it uses the in-game PS2 clock. Weird, but it didn't. It was just when it starts. Talking about Persona for a half hour. Good lord. It's too good, though. It's too good. Can't even begin to express how good it is. Something about the relationships. I don't remember. You can have sex with women? Well, you can't really. It is implied in the 4th, but not really in the 5th one. Oh, yeah. That's what I was talking about. So, if you do a relationship with someone on Christmas Eve, which in Japan, I am led to believe from these games and people I know who went to Japan and are also further down the weeb rabbit hole than I am. Christmas is more like Valentine's Day over there, and it's a relationship holiday. And on Christmas Eve in this one, you can go on a date with someone of anyone you choose. I only ended up pursuing Makoto, but I also had started relations with the teacher, which is an option in this game, which is rad as fuck. Got to fuck my teacher, but not really. That's just kind of a thing I'd like to say over and over again. But yeah, so you basically go on a date with her, and they give you an item that helps you bonus that social link when you start the New Game Plus. So when I start this New Game Plus, which makes me want to not pursue Makoto again, even though she's the correct answer and will always be the correct answer in every game forever. The only incorrect answer that has ever truly lived is Chie. Fuck Chie. Persona 4, garbage girl. She's a dumpster. Fucking horrible. She's not that good in battle, to be completely fair. I mean, I think she has God Hand, but like, who the fuck cares? I'm gonna play 4 after this. So actually, I want to platinum this game, and then I'm gonna play Persona 4 Golden again, get that platinum there because I also have beaten that one. So I'll start with the New Game Plus. I'll have some of the bonuses that carry over into New Game Plus. But I do not think I'm as well set up for a New Game Plus than I am in this one because holy shit, like I want to say 91% of the compendium. I think all I'm missing is 3 treasure demons, which basically are, now this is kind of a new thing for 5, but there are objects in the world that you can steal because you're a thief. And basically it just gives you something you can sell when you leave the palace. But occasionally a little gem will pop out, and if you attack the gem, it creates like, they're not strong enemies. Actually, generally, they're super weak. They have 1 weakness, or in the case of one of them, no weaknesses. I think it might even nullify most damage, except for like it resists, I forget what. But if you crit them, basically you did put in the knockdown state. So in Persona, you either hit a crit and they fall down, or you hit their weakness. So one of the elemental weaknesses, or whatever weaknesses. Sometimes they're weak to physical attacks, whatever. So whatever they're weak to, and you knock them down, and then you can recruit them. And if you recruit these ones, you have to recruit, I want to say there are 8 of them. I think I have 5. I think I missed the last 3. And usually there was 1 in each palace, I think. And then 1, then 1 in Mementos, maybe? Or no, you can get them all in Mementos, which is the typical dungeon with the floor crawling and stuff like that. You go to different floors. So I'm just going to do that, because fuck trying to hunt these things down. So I got to do that. And then I think every time you finish a social link, you get the ultimate persona of that arcana. And I only do that for a couple of them, so I need to unlock those ones again. So I have to do all the big crafted ones, and then I should be at 100% with that. So, but I don't think I've ever been this close to 100% of Persona game until this one. So 4 might be a mess. I haven't played 4 in a long time. I'll have to look at when the last time I played, because that was another big reason for me to want to pursue 5 further, was if I took a break and played something else. And I have a whole bunch of shit over here on this shelf that super short. Uncharted 4. I bought the fucking Zero Escape games, even though what they say on the box is weird. I don't understand what it's called. The Nomori games. That might be. I don't know what that means. But the Zero Escape and fucking, I forget what the other ones are called, but they rebranded. 999 was the first one. If anyone remembers that one, for the DS. There were 2 others. So I have all 3 of them on the PS4. So I have these really short fucking games over here that I could play in, like, whatever. Fucking Kingdom Hearts 1. I can fucking beat that game in a sitting. The game's so fucking short, so easy. So I have all these like really short games, like, oh, I just want to put one in. I really want to fucking start playing Kingdom Hearts again, do a big fucking Kingdom Hearts playthrough. I want to record a bunch of it and do some video or something. Series, I think I mentioned that previously, whatever, who cares. But no, I just thought, like, fuck it. I will never remember and know as much as I do about this game, except for right now. So I was like, fuck it, I'm putting the game right in. I put the game in, and I didn't even put it, I didn't take it out. I just kept going. I went to work the next day, and so that ended up happening. I finished the game, and my one goal was finish the game, start playing the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, Stormblood, which has had a rocky launch. According to people who are playing it or were playing it, we're not having a good time. One of the characters has like a instanced event, and the instance server can only handle about 100 people, and it was basically like over 1,000 people were pinging it at a time. Because like when I logged in, I've only tried to log in once so far. I think they're also actually, side note too, I think they're also being DDoSed at this time. This might be why things are being so problematic. The one time I logged in, I was 2,000 in line. It was like I think I was 2,300 people ahead of me. And I was like, fuck that, because that's like a 2-hour wait. I was like, I don't need to like just let this game just run for 2 hours. I can do other things with my computer. So I didn't even fucking play. I just fucking, I closed it out immediately. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck deal with this. I think they fixed things so there's less of that shit, but like, it was just nuts. And apparently they were worse. Some people had 4,000 people in line in front of them. So it had a rocky start, so I didn't really jump into it. And so like, you know, with that game not really, at the time, so this was a couple days ago, probably, I'll say like maybe Sunday, I finished this game. So, you know, put the game in, it didn't work out with Final Fantasy. I was like, you know, I'll just, you know, I think I watched like Power Rangers or something. And then I just went to bed. I came home Monday. I was fucking, work was wrapping up, driving home. I was like, God, that game is awesome. I need to play that game again. Like, I need to finish that. I could, if I go home right now and I start this game up again, I can foreseeably get this platinum. I could 100% this game and be in the 1% who fucking crazy people who have tried this. And actually, fun thing I've noticed, 23%, according to the trophy list, have finished the game. That is, finished and synced their trophies. So potentially that number's higher. Have finished the game. So 23% have finished the game. I was playing a little bit, and there's a social link you can get early on, but it requires 4 guts, which is one of your social stats that help you pursue the different social links. They'll have walls where you cannot unlock this one, you cannot pursue this one further until you break past this number in your social stats. And they don't have numbers. There's only 1 to 5 for each one, but they have little names. So it'll be like, oh, you can't do this one until you have Dauntless Guts. But that takes forever. To get level 4 Guts of 5 takes forever. So you really can't start this guy until way, way late in the game. But when you start New Game Plus, you carry that shit over. So the earliest you can do this guy is, I believe, May 6th, I think. And I just started right away. Did it for the very first day you could. And you can check if you hit the touchpad on the PlayStation controller, and it'll show you what people did that day. And it's usually very helpful in the beginning, especially when you're starting out for the first time, just to see what people are doing and how people are spending their time. It was in Fort Golden. It was fucking awesome. It was so helpful when you're like, I forget who's available today, even though that's less of a case in 5 for a myriad of reasons I don't feel like going into right now. But if I hit that thing on a night that this character was available, and 21% had pursued him that day. So, from what I can tell, 21% of people of the 23% that beat it tried the game again. Thought that was really interesting. So most people who beat this game jump back in and attempt the platinum. Now, the platinum only has 1.5 or something, 1.5% completion. So, and that's something you're not gonna sink. If you platinum a game, you're sinking your trophies. So people, I would put money that is a 100% accurate number. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting that like of the 20-something people who try the game again, only 1% actually go through with it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now sure, that 20% number, 21% of people attempting the social link for the first time, which only can be done in New Game Plus this early in the game, could have been someone's 3rd or 4th playthrough. I honestly have no idea how to know that for sure, but that was pretty interesting that, you know, that's so few people can actually continue to that far into the game. But yeah, Persona 5, just so fucking good. So yeah, I figured I just know so much about it. I still have all this retained knowledge. I know where a lot of the stuff is. I know how to do a lot of the stuff that I missed. The only thing really I don't fully understand is the Futaba thing. I'm gonna have to go out of my way and kind of, I know how to, and I know at what point I want to do it. And it's basically the very first point you have your full party. And at that moment, I'll just go in Mementos and just force her to say a bunch of lines. I'm also going to keep track this time and just try to remember like how many lines she said, which lines she said, and then just try to keep that number going so that I if I duplicate, I'll try to remember and just try to keep track of like how far in I have to go and what I have to set up to go do something. She have a lot of party members. I just didn't use I only used mainly 3 others than myself, the main character, which I don't name after myself because like, you know, you're a Japanese kid. Why would I name him after some fucking, you know, American? I have such a fucking basic American name. Oh, not really. My first name is. I guess my last name is some wacky Eastern European thing. So I find whatever his name is in the manga, and I just name the character after that, or the anime if it has one, because I know that's the name of 3's protagonist is different from the manga than the anime. But regardless, yeah. So there's a whole bunch of characters I never really used, and like they never really got in situations where they had status effects or went down or were low health or whatever, you know. Which these are all things. She has 2 to 3 lines for each thing, so it should be easy to manipulate if I'm going out of my way to manipulate it and set situations up so that Futaba is saying these lines. Oh, you know what's another interesting thing I've noticed about this series in particular? Actually, not even necessarily this series, but this game, and I guess just anything with voice acting in general, people still manage to mispronounce people's names. Super weird. What the fuck was I watching? I was watching some YouTube video, and the guy kept calling Futaba something weird. I forget what it was. Futaba? I think he kept calling it Futaba instead of Futaba, which is weird because they say the fucking name over and over again. Then it's so weird to me. Like, certain things I would understand. Like, Ryuji's last name is Sakamoto, but it's spelt like it's Sakamoto, and if they had not said it a whole bunch, I would think it was Sakamoto, but they say it so much, especially in the beginning of the game, because you know, if you don't know someone's personally, you call them by their last name, whatever. So it's a lot of people just talking to Ryuji and just whatever. But they keep calling him Sakamoto. And if I hadn't heard that enough, I would mispronounce it. But they say it so much that, like, I now know how it's pronounced. But I keep saying this, or people pronounce shit like weirdly incorrect. Like, you know, I've always had the biggest problem with fucking people pronouncing like Pokemon names wrong. But then, or like, I pronounce it differently than how you pronounce it, so, you know, the Arceus example, I think I did this in one of the Mike episodes or Ben episodes, something like that, but, like, you know, you say the name wrong, and then they go, oh, you mean this, and then they say how they say it, and it's like, okay, why don't you fuck yourself, it's a fictional thing, piss off. And there's no voice acting, so we don't know for sure, unless you watch the show, or there's a commercial, like the fucking, Pokken trailer, they were saying, or not the Pokemon, it was the Pokemon Direct with the new Pokken game. They said Desu Duai or Desai, the fucking owl's name. They pronounced it because it's spelt really weird. It was something to the effect of Desu Duai or something like that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But like we now kind of know how it's pronounced. We know how it's pronounced. Even if I fucking can't remember and I fuck it up. But people pronounce things wrong all the time when there's voice acting. It's super weird. I never understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because actually, you know what it is? Here's another fucking really weird example. So there's a guy I watch who speedruns Kingdom Hearts all the time. Not as much anymore do I watch his speedruns, but he puts out videos that are like cool little informationals. Like, here's what here's the disadvantages to every option of Kingdom Hearts 1's opening, where you pick one of 3 weapons and lose one of the other 2 that you didn't pick, and then the 3 questions that Titus Walker selfie ask you, and it's sets up how your XP is set. I know this information. I just enjoy watching them and just hearing stuff out and hearing his opinion. That's the other thing too. Is he'll give his take of which options he picks, that kind of shit. But he pronounces Goofy's name as Goffy. I don't know how or where he gets that from, because he doesn't have like an accent. He's just an American dude, and he pronounces Goofy's name, Goofy of Disney, of which we all know, have all grown up with this character, have seen fucking him in everything for our entire lives, and pronounces it Goffy. And it's not even like, oh, maybe he just avoided Disney forever, and like, maybe that's just how he reads it. It's voice acted too. This game is voice acted, and they say his name, but he pronounces it weird every single time. And it's really weird because it's so off that like when he's talking about like certain, he'll talk about, he'll do a bunch of videos on the different super bosses, and especially like Lingering Will, for example, or is it Lingering Sentiment? I can never fucking remember what the English name is, because I learned it as its Japanese translation, its direct Japanese translation, because this boss never existed in English for like, I don't know, it was like 8 years or something like that. Or no, that can't be true. Is that true? A long time. No, it might be 8 years. Was this 2013 the first time we ever got Final Mix? Regardless. He would do these little videos showing how it's done. And one of the strategies, you can use Goofy's, I think it's his tornado will bounce him off the ground, and you basically use Goofy to intercept, and then they won't survive 99% of the things that happen in there, but you can have certain situations you can set it up so that Goofy can do like one thing and then you can continue your combo and then carry on. So he was explaining this combo and then kept calling him Goffy, and I was like very confused for a second. And like, oh right, he just says it so weird. That's just, I don't know, I see this all the time where people just pronounce things either incorrectly or just in a different way. And it's just like, I guess, especially with the Goofy one, that's 100% incorrect. I don't know where he gets that from. Especially because he plays these games so much. I mean, I guess he plays a lot of them in Japanese, but it's not like he's also playing, or it's not like it's also just a Japanese, like, character with a Japanese name. This is fucking Goofy from Disney. We all know who he is. So really weird that that's like that kind of thing. But I don't know. I just noticed that a lot lately, where it's like people just pronounce things wrong. Like in all these fucking Persona videos, I'm watching these different things, like this Futaba one, stuff like that. And people just pronounce the name wrong. And sure, the Persona voice acting, not perfect. Fucking, Four's, fucking, what's his name? Your uncle there. The voice actor that plays the uncle doesn't even say his own name right. So, it happens. You know, it's not perfect fucking pronunciation. But it's just super weird that, like, people just don't do it correctly, even though we hear it a whole bunch. Or, like, they just say... And, like, I'll be honest, like, I've heard some of it where, like, people will call An Lady An, you know, and that is really only in the beginning of the game when Morgana's talking about An all the time. We'll call her Lady An, because he's a weirdo. But that doesn't really carry through the game. Like, I would never call An Lady An after playing the game for over 100 hours. Like, she's on. Everyone can call her on. The fucking, what do you call it? The every time anyone talks, regardless if it's voice actor or not, there's text. There's a little portrait, their text shows up, and they have a little name plate, and it tells you their name. So it doesn't say An, doesn't say Takamaki, it says An. So, like, you know, I'm not going to call her by any other thing, because that's just what I'm used to now. So I've seen for hundreds of hours, every time this woman talks, it says her name that way, you know. So it's just weird stuff like that. Which I don't see how people... the Persona one, I could see more of than the Goofy one. I just feel like that's the weirdest example, because, like, how did that happen? Like, how did you manage this? How did you, like, manage this pronunciation? But really weird stuff. Oh, another thing I saw and has, like, actually kind of, I guess, I don't know, triggered me. Is that like what the kids say? Is that a word I should be using right now? Is HBO. They're gonna do, or they have the rights to work on a Watchmen show. And I'm just going to say this, just a word of advice to just anyone who wants to work with Watchmen. Please don't. Can we just stop this, like, right now? I don't give a fuck if you thought the movie was good. I don't give a fuck if you want to see it. For the love of Christ, can we just leave this alone? It is such a great fucking... milestone in comics. It should only really be in comics because of just it uses the comic book medium to the most perfect amount, where it uses it you know, it's got fucking it's a superhero comic, like satire with, you know, very very specifically used color scheme, very specific and very well designed page layout. And just everything is so well articulated, or just created, I guess articulated is not the word, but created to be just a comic book. And Alan Moore himself, and I know a lot of people not everyone likes Alan Moore, not everyone thinks he's fucking God's gift, or whatever. Some people think he's a weirdo. I think he's fucking awesome, and fucking a great, fucking super important to just media in general. Not even just comics, not even just writing, just media in general. And that's the idea that, or his quote rather, that if comics were meant to be movies, we would make a damn movie. I don't know how anyone could argue around that. Like, it's, especially his work, when you put so much effort and thought into every last detail of the piece that you're creating, you know, the artwork, the page layout, the color schemes, the color palette, the amount of just the palette they chose to use, the way they it's crazy. Like they don't use your typical, they use the secondary colors, not the primary, stuff like that. Where they use the primaries, it's punctuation points, stuff like that. Whereas the movie of Zack Snyder's movie is primarily black, you know, and it does a couple of things. And sure, it tries to recreate some scenes, you know, with the same framing, but it doesn't hit certain points and moments as correctly or as impactful and whatever. And you could argue about the ending all you fucking want. I don't remember if the movie has the cancer stuff. I don't remember how that worked about the movie. I haven't seen the movie since the first time I watched it. And it just didn't do what I needed it to do, really, is what it came down to. Is the movie just didn't elicit the same emotional response that I got from reading the comic. And, the comic's dense. I'll say that much. There are the in-betweens of the comic, of the between chapters, or between issues. I guess technically issues, but I don't think you'll ever find it in trades. Not trades. Singles. That's what I want. You'll never find it in singles ever again. You'll just find it in the full graphic novel, and in between each issue. There are news articles that are literally written like news articles, just dense walls of text. Or there's like reports from like government offices and stuff that are just dense text walls, and they build up the world, they tell the story, they do stuff, they go into background of characters, whatever. And then you might not like the what the fuck's it called? I'm apparently a fake fan. I can't remember the name of the fucking comic within the comic, but that kind of thing with the pirate, that might not be for you because it breaks up the action. It takes stuff away from the meaning at hand and all that shit. I get it all. I understand that this might not be for everyone. It is a little bit weirdly paced. And yeah, the ending, I like the space octopus. I'm a big fan of that. I don't think that's spoilers at this point, because I feel like that's just like a big point. Like, I remember going in both the movie and the comic, both understanding whatever when I watched first. I think I read the comic first. I try to do that stuff. I don't remember though specifically, but I knew the ending with the space octopus and all that shit. I don't know. I just wish they would leave this shit alone. Just let it be as it was, and stop trying. And, I get it. When you're a company and you own a license that's super popular, you're going to try everything you can to utilize that property to the best of your small heart's content. But let's just not do that anymore. It's just kind of getting annoying. Like, it's in a spot right now that it should just be left alone as it is. And you know what? Maybe support people. And you have Vertigo. You have this other license, this other thing. You don't have to necessarily smack the DC name on DC. I'm talking right at you. Looking you right in the face, Mr. DC Comics man. You got this other label. You still own it, but it does not got the... I mean, people in the know will know, but not everyone needs to know this. Fucking dish this shit out, Fucking dish out some of this... If you want other people to try things, maybe have another Watchmen, have maybe a more cooperative creator to your movie empire idea, because you want to be Marvel, because everyone wants to be Marvel, including fucking Universal Monsters for some reason. Go for it. You try it. Try stuff. Fucking support other people. Give other people these chances. Just let this thing exist as it does, and let's leave it alone. All right? You don't need to see it moving. You don't need to see it in action. I don't even think I fully support the fucking action comic, or whatever it's called. The movie that's just the panels with voice acting. We don't need it. We don't need it. The pages are right there. We got it right there. I mean, there's parts of it. There's fucking... I forget which chapter or which issue it is. It's the one where Night Owl talks to Old Night Owl, and it like perfectly parallels itself page to page. You're not going to get that any other form than holding the fucking book in front of you. It's important. I don't know. And I say that with, being someone who reads manga exclusively on my phone and not, completely illegally, because I'm a fucking peasant. But just let's keep Watchmen as Watchmen. Let's not do this anymore. Let's stop it right now. Like, we don't need it. I just don't trust anyone to deal with it. There are other things out there. Fucking, let's bring Spawn back, which I think they're doing. Am I wrong? Did I read that? Did I read a fake article on Facebook? And of course, I didn't read the article. I saw a headline and moved on. Something about Spawn's coming back? I could check right now, but I'm not going to do it. Just, let's pretend. Let's keep that going. Spawn's ridiculous. Spawn's goes out of left field all the time. Let's keep Spawn going. Let's do more of that. Fucking McFarlane's art is so dope sometimes. Even though a lot of his villains are kind of weak, I'm not a huge fan. They're just kind of dudes. Like, I don't know, they're dudes with possessed by demons and shit, but there's a lot of times just dudes. I don't know. But let's do Spawn. Let's bring Spawn back. That Spawn cartoon is actually terrible. It's actually a really bad cartoon. Nothing really happens and the plot doesn't really move forward ever, really. And animation budget must have been shoestring because they enjoy the color black. So much so that sometimes entire shots are just Spawn's eyeballs, like in the first few episodes, maybe just the first episode, but like a guy's just talking. Of course, this guy's face is 60% just covered, like just the darkest shadow, because they don't want to animate parts of him, so they just completely cover him in shadow, and he's talking into a shadow that happens to be Spawn, and you just see his green eyes. I think that's just the first episode, but they do this a lot, where it's just like a moment here, a moment there. It's like completely dark. There are moments that are bright, and a couple of the action scenes, fucking fucking so cool. Because Spawn's rad as fuck, and he does rad as fuck shit. And he fucks people up, and he takes shot and takes bullets and stuff, and he's badass with chains and shit. 90s comics were a goddamn nightmare, but were goddamn if they were not cool. And really, it's just Spawn. Fucking everything else, that image in that era was a goddamn nightmare. I legitimately cannot tell you the difference between the series. They're so similar. I don't even know which one comes from which anymore. Isn't Witchblade one of them? Actually, maybe I can tell you about Witchblade. I know that one. I can tell you which one that one is. But the other ones I could not fucking... There's what's someone called? Young Blood? There's Young Blood and the other one that I don't remember the name of because they're all the same. I legitimately could... You could show me any image from Image Comics that's not Spawn or I think Witchblade. I'm not sure about that one. But I'm going to say it and pretend I'm right. That's not those two. And I would not be able to tell you who is actually in Youngblood and who's not. Because there's like the rock guy, who I think is definitely in Youngblood. And then there's every single one of them had the fucking like Robin-esque character, just a lanky, skinny dude fucking fighting crime. I think they all were red too. There's the one with the green lizard or fish man. Is he a lizard or a fish? I don't know. That might be Youngblood. Is that Youngblood? Who the fuck cares? 90s comics were a goddamn nightmare. Oh wait, wasn't Night... What the fuck's that one called? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But let's bring Spawn back, which I think they are, which is good. Spawn's awesome. I actually really like Todd McFarlane a lot. I follow him on Facebook, and he like does like a daily like how to draw thing. It's pretty cool. I mean, he makes a lot of that shit look super easy, but it's really cool watching the inside, like the inside out of not the inside out, the inside baseball of like comics and how that works. Like he is the how like inking works. Like, anyone familiar with Kevin Smith and, is a fan of Chasing Amy like myself, because that movie's goddamn fucking rad. Side story on that came up in one of my freshman classes in college, and my teacher was like, oh, I just watched, this is like a very casual class, this is our freshman seminar, but the way he ran it was very casual. We kind of just hung out, and then we'd talk a little bit, bring up a couple points, we'd relate them to things we did recently. It was a pretty chill class, but he's like, oh, I just watched fucking, he didn't swear. He said, I just watched Chasing Amy. And in my mind, I said, I love Chasing Amy, sitting right next to this dude. But I think I said, I fucking love Chasing Amy. And because the whole room got super quiet. And he was like, yeah, okay. And we moved on. And I thought it was really awkward for me just like expressing my love to something. But I think I swore. And I think that may have made the whole situation awkward. I don't know. This is completely irrelevant. Doesn't matter to anything. But it just kind of bugs me all the time. I think about it literally all the time. Like, why did that go over like a fucking lead balloon? I must have sworn. What did I do? I don't know. But still, Chasing Amy, there's the beginning scene where is it Brody? Brody is not Brody. That's the other Jason Lee character? Fuck it. Jason Lee and Ben Affleck are at a comic book convention, and is it Casey Affleck? No, Casey Affleck gets pulled in later. Basically, someone's getting an autograph for their Blunt Man and Chronic comic, and they ask Jason Lee, oh, what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm the inker. He goes, oh, so you're a tracer. They get this whole argument about, fucking inking or just tracing, and then, whatever. They start shouting and fighting. I don't know if it's just Todd McFarlane's work, or like... I mean, my uncle's an inker too. So, but like, shout outs to Uncle Rich. Word up. You do some fantastic work, my friend. Inking's fucking tough. Inking is fucking hard. It is so much work. In some situations, it is all of the work. It is shading and line work is so important. Whereas the penciler is really just fucking, they're blocking out the page. They block out where things go, the order things are going to go in, how things should be, and the inker does the rest. The fucking penciler can, they can fuck stuff up. I mean, a lot of pencil work that, Todd McFarlane in his thing will show fucking the pencil pages. He'll show them. He'll just put out the pencil page. He'll display it, and sometimes the penciler can't draw hands, can't draw feet. He just he implies that object, that body part, and moves on. And I'm sure in his defense, he's got to do fucking pages and pages, but the inker does too. The inker's got to fix all this shit. The inker's got to now sit down and figure out how this shit works and why things go where. And then that shit's got to go to a colorist, which today is probably not as miserable as it was back in like the day when you had to actually send it to someone as opposed to just a PDF file or whatever. Not a PDF file. It'd probably just be a Photoshop file or something. Or no, do they use Photoshop? Or do they use, what's that program? Doesn't matter. Yeah, inkers are so crazy. There's like, shout out to my uncle, because fuck, that's pretty tough. Inking is tough. I now understand that. I mean, I've known this for a while now. After I really fell down the rabbit hole of comics. I've kind of fallen out because I was really deep in Western comics, and then the love of my life, One Piece, showed up, and I've been reading manga for ever now. Still like 200 chapters from being caught up, which is not really that much because it's like maybe 15 pages per chapter. But fuck, One Piece is so good. Oh my god, we get to that in a second. Well, I'll just jerk that series off in a hot minute, but inking is tough as fuck, yo. And comics is just so cool. Like, there's so much work to it. Actually, one of the Sandmans I have, I think Sandman, is it the trade for 3? Might be the trade for 3 or 4 of the, what are these called? Don't these have a different name? Let me see. I'm going to make noise real quick. That's my keys. What are these called? Fully remastered editions. I think it's, which one am I looking at right now? This is 4, so it's 3. In the trade for 3 of the fully remastered versions, editions, rather, it has fucking Neil Gaiman's script in the back, which is pretty cool. So it shows you how he writes them. And he in words blocks out every page, but I have heard that there are writers that don't do that. And so when you get... I think that might be similar to the, actually, yeah, the Stan Lee method, or the Marvel method, excuse me, is, like, if I'm Stan Lee, I call Jack Kirby and I tell him what happens. Like, I don't even think he wrote some of it down. I think he just told him over the phone, because there's that one, whatever, and you just tell him what happens, and then Jack Kirby did everything, because Jack Kirby deserves 90% of that credit. Good lord, Jack Kirby deserves more credit than he fucking earned, until he, now, when people are starting to realize, like, oh, maybe he actually matters, but fucking Stan Lee did nothing, Jack Kirby did everything. Fucking praise Jack Kirby. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, like, in writing, Neil Gaiman, writer of Sandman, also a prolific writer and other things, he blocked out the pages in writing. He'd be like, in panel 1, we see this in this situation, and in panel 2, so he sets it up in whatever way you want to do it. But then there are other ways to do it, like the Marvel method. But you could, but like in certain situations, if you are doing something similar to the Marvel method, the penciler probably makes a lot of decisions in that situation, and then the inker really defines and fixes a lot of stuff and really makes things pop and really puts in a ton of work. It's not just tracing over shit. It's not just simple work. It's hard. It's hard work. It's pretty impressive work when you fucking nail that shit. Where, whatever. And then the colorist today is probably, I'm not even sure. Actually, I'd like to know, honestly, I don't know if this exists. If anyone knows if this exists, please let me know. Of like a documentary that goes over how modern comics are made. I would love to know. I think there's a couple about manga, but manga's a very different environment than is comics today, or Western comics. So I'd like to see just like how a modern comic is put together today, because I can kind of see stuff from Todd McFarlane's Facebook, but I can't really figure out, like, it's not the whole thing. He's not a colorist. He doesn't do that stuff. So I don't really know what that process looks like when someone gets it. I don't know. I kind of want to see a documentary about like a lot of stuff. So maybe I should just start making documentaries. I don't have the money for it though, or like the expertise or the equipment or anything. But I'd really fucking love, oh my god, I would love to see a fucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers documentary, because that production is fascinating and seems at points like a living nightmare. I'm like, I think the next episode I'm going to watch, the White Ranger shows up. But, like, there are episodes, like, in the last, like, 5 episodes I watched, where, like, the Red Ranger doesn't talk once he morphs into his suit. he just left, and like they didn't have VO for him, so it's just like the actor from Japan moves, but no words come out, or like sometimes he'll just say very like basically recycled voice lines from the past. And I guess I was reading something on the Power Ranger wiki, which is a fascinating read if you actually care anything about this production, of just all that stuff. That he, or like in earlier runs, they had used a bunch of old takes, but he later, I don't know if he said it or they just decided on their own, they removed those like fake lines, and so a lot of times, there's a couple times where the Red Ranger is just moving. Or the Green Ranger, or not the Green Ranger, Yellow Ranger, or the Black Ranger, which all left for money. And I've been led for years to believe that was like a racist thing, but like the Red Ranger leaves too, like at the same time. So it is all just money, I guess. Fun fact about the fucking original Red Ranger, he's a paramedic in the DC area. So if you ever fucking need a paramedic in the DC area, fucking Austin the Red Jason Scott, call him by his Ranger name. He'll show up. Fucking save your life in real life. So I thought that was pretty cool. Apparently also, according to that wiki, is the Black Ranger chose the Black Power Ranger. So he auditioned for the Blue Ranger, chose the Black Ranger because he figured he'd be more iconic as the Black Ranger. Potentially true. I don't know. So maybe it wasn't racist. You know, maybe we make it racist. I don't know. Like, it may have just been his legitimate, like, I just feel like I will fit this role better. And actually, also found out that in the Japanese, the Black Ranger is the smart one, and the blue one's the blue one's the comic relief. So they only went to, I want to say like episode 30 of the original run with Japanese footage, but the show is so popular, and the first season's 60 episodes, so another 30 episodes were produced, and so for that footage, they reached out to Japan. I believe Toei does all the suits, and was it Toei? I forget. There's a production company in Japan, I think it's Toei, that does all the suit work and all the, like the acting. So he reached out to them, and there's like footage created for just our Power Rangers, but out of Japan. So they still have the same suits, all the rubber monsters, all that shit that they created just for that. And when they did that, they changed certain things where like the Blue Ranger is seen with the gadget. The Green Ranger and the Pink Ranger save each other sometimes, and they're shown close together. They show like the romantic aspects of them, and they like redid some of the way those characters worked and stuff. Fascinating stuff. Didn't know any of this, so it was pretty cool to find out like how they like kind of changed a lot of stuff. Like, and it has a cute name within the community. I forget what it's called, of these like episodes that are like that. And the reason in season 2 that they changed the Zords to the Thunder Zords, that was another series. It's the series the White Ranger suit comes from. But for some reason, Saban chose not to upgrade the suits of the Rangers within our show from the Sentai version. So the update to the Sentai version, rather. So he just kept the I forget what the Japanese name is for our Rangers, our what we think as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He decided to just keep those for some reason, and so like a lot of times you'll see the Thunder Megazord, the samurai guy, and the monster that they're fighting sometimes won't like be in the same shot because like maybe, or like it happened earlier on in these other series where like the regular Megazord never would have seen that monster because that monster is from the Thunder, where the Thunder Megazord would show up, but they didn't have the Thunder Megazord yet. Or like some of those episodes, he brings the Thunder Megazord in too early, but still has some of that old footage left. So like when they're fighting, they have it where it's just like the punch of the regular Megazord, but the fist looks different. They fucked up a lot of weird stuff, and so there's a lot of weird shots where like a couple of these episodes, the Rangers never fight the monster. They just fight putties, and the monster's off screen, like talking, and then they'll cut to the monster, and he'll say something, and then he gets one of Zed's bombs and grows big. Which I also found out Zed is the first original villain in the American series. That was not a thing in Japan. He gets the bomb, he gets big, and then they just summon the Thunder Megazord, and they fuck him up and kill him. Not anything to do with the original series. So like a lot of those things just don't perfectly match up, and they have to like do all this weird editing and all this weird stuff. So it's stuff like that makes me want to see a documentary on this series and like why it got so weird, like all this weird stuff that happened in the production, why they made weird decisions like that, where it's like, oh, we're just not going to update the suits because I don't know why they did all this stuff. It's very strange. Like why not update their suits, but bring in the White Ranger from an entirely different Sentai series that you already are using footage of. You're using footage of the Megazord from that Sentai series. And I think the only reason you're using the White Ranger is because you have to have a reason for, the White Ranger's Zord to show up with Thunder Megazord. So they just had like an arbitrary reason. It's so weird. The way they did the whole thing is so odd. But I'd love to see some kind of production documentary on all that stuff. I don't know if they would release that stuff because either they don't have any info or it's like it's super fucked up and weird. I don't know. It might be a legal thing. But I also would love to see one on comics. Going back to that topic after like this 10-minute side tangent, just to kind of get an idea of like all this just how everything's made and all that kind of stuff. And like indie comics are so fascinating compared to like how indie comics differ from the main entity comics, the big numbers, the big two, I guess the big three at this point with Image. Image is huge now. But Image is also kind of still on the indie side of things where it's like the creator makes it, the creator takes care of things. It's a lot of writer and artists like pet project where they go and they work for Marvel DC, but in reality, they want to work on other things, so they just kind of chime in, they tap in, they work on something small here and there, like Brian K. Vaughan does with Saga and stuff like that. Saga comes out so infrequently because, him or, I really wish I could remember. I'm looking at them right now, I could pull them out and look at the fucking artist's name, but I don't remember the artist's name. So, sorry to the artist of Saga. I should remember your name, because you're really good. You're really fucking good. I do like how you ink all in marker and Sharpie. It's pretty sick. Just makes things pop, and I like how it's kind of not perfect either. I think that's kind of cool. A lot of the horns of the one race, the lines aren't perfect. They sometimes get a little thicker. Sometimes they don't connect to the next black line. I think it's really cool the way you did that. So, shout outs to you and your artwork. What was I talking? Oh yeah, so One Piece. I'll talk about that for a little bit, and then we'll die here. I can't even put into words, because here's the thing. Let me paint you a picture. One Piece has a lot of stupid things. A lot of dumb stuff happens in One Piece. Like, fucking, I'm at Punk Hazard, if that means anything to anyone. The island that's half ice, half fire. I'll make it much clearer. And Virgo showed up, and, like, he's, like, forgetful, kind of a goof. And he'll, like, have stuff, like, get stuck to his face for some reason. I think his power has something to do with metal. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out later. I haven't really gotten into what he actually can do. But he's, like, One Piece is this thing where it will balance an incredibly goofy looking and acting character where they're super wacky and they're super weird. And then it comes to, like, all right, we're in serious mode. People are dying. Things are getting serious. Shit's hitting the fan. And now this guy who was super weird and had, like, a hamburger on his face when we first saw him is now kicking the shit out of Smoker and, like, really fucking, like, being like kind of frightening, and, like, we don't really know his objective or why he's doing these things, and why are they working for Don Flamingo? What is going on? Why, or Doflamingo? Why is this happening? What's going on? Why are you so fucking weird? And, like, they will position, they build people in such a good way where it just builds so well, and everyone's like, people kind of feel threatening. Now, it's not perfect. Like, the Hody, or whatever the guy's name is from Fishman Island, never felt like he was a real threat to them at all. The threat came with they're in the ocean, like underwater, and Devil Fruit users can't have seawater touch them. So they drained of their power. It's like their kryptonite, basically. And there's, like, sea stone that, like, Smoker puts in a weapon, and so he can use that to, like, basically detain Devil Fruit users, stuff like that. So he'll hit them with this weapon. It's like a baton, and then they can't move or whatever. They can't use their power. So, like, he'll do stuff like this. So, like, there's weaknesses. There's ways to get around stuff, but they're all underwater. So, like, these fishmen are swimming around. Fishmen swim, like, faster than some boats do or something like that. I forget exactly how it works, but, like, he wasn't any stronger than anything else. Like, they were just underwater, so, like, he could go off somewhere, and, like, Luffy's got to be in a bubble. But, like, if they were on fucking equal footing, Luffy would have shit all over this guy. But where I'm at now on Punk Hazard, there's so many things where it's just like, this is really interesting. And, like, they have this Clown Caesar, I think is his name. Caesar. He's like, that's another thing that's kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure how it works. Is the Logia? Logia? Maybe it's Logia. It's the fruit type that is of like elemental property, like Crocodile sand, Ace is fire, Smoker is smoke, and Caesar is gas. But then it's like poison gas, but also air. But then there's the guy in the prison whose thing was poison, but it was kind of more like an acid poison, but poison, like liquidy. And then this guy's gas, but also poison. So it's weird. Things can kind of cross over in weird ways, but like he can also suffocate. He can pull the air out of an area and suffocate you and stuff like that. So he's like incapacitating people by like sucking all the air out of like a small radius and making people pass out. But like it's so cool. But like some of these characters are like, they just feel so fucking threatening. Sometimes they're kind of weird. Their designs are all super unique. That's the thing that's pretty cool. And it doesn't play, I don't think it plays as important role in comics. I could be wrong. Please inform me if I am. Because I know it's massive. It's a massive deal in animation, which is the concept of silhouettes, meaning if you black out all the foreground and white out all the background, for example, and everything's just silhouettes, you can tell which character's who from the silhouette. So you just look at this, and it's just, you silhouette it out, and you can tell what character's what, and what, so, for example, you can't look at someone, and, like, maybe you silhouette a scene in SpongeBob, and you can't tell the difference between, like, you know, a filing cabinet in SpongeBob, weird example, but they're both squares, and maybe, you know, but SpongeBob has those, he's, like, curvy, for a reason. So when you silhouette him, you'd be able to be, that's SpongeBob, that's a filing cabinet. Weird example, but I feel like it's the point across of two squares, but you can tell SpongeBob apart. And so I don't know if it's as big a deal in comics as it is in animation, but in One Piece, every single character is so unique. They all look unique. They all have weird little things, little quirks. They do something different. Like, Caesar is gas. Smoker is smoke. They both have like a smoky, gassy body. I mean, Smoker doesn't, but he can. He can make himself that way. If they're both dodging an attack, they're going to look the same. But the way that Smoker's body is, which is like a military man, he's much more like sturdy, he's jacked, all that kind of stuff. And Caesar, who's like much taller, lankier, he has fucking ram horns for some reason. But like he looks so different. The way he holds his hands out, and the way he like, you know, uses everything, like he uses his hand, his body language when he stands still. I can tell him apart. If they both were dodging like a cannon blast, they both went to gas form, I could probably, even if they both went in, but then maybe not for the whole body, but like they open up a spot of them so they attack and go through, or whatever, you know what I mean? They separate their body or whatever. I could tell them apart because they're designed in very unique ways. They're very different characters. I think that's a very cool thing that One Piece does, is that everyone is so unique, so different, looks so cool, that it's just, I don't know, it's just so fast, it's so well done, it's just so well done. It's just amazing. It's amazing that something like this exists, and has existed at a consistent level. And like I said, there are arcs that are not my favorite. Fishman Island, don't really give a fuck. The beginning of Alabasta, don't give a fuck. Just took too long to get to the cool part. But the parts that hit so well, and even when it's not hitting, it's still fantastic and better than most manga I've ever read. Where when other manga have their lulls, they're fucking unbearable. They're fucking awful. And you could have, like, it's just, good lord, oh my god, some of these are so, like, it's, but One Piece just doesn't do that. It just doesn't fucking get a lull. It just kind of goes even and then it spikes and goes back to even. And the spikes are the highest spikes I've ever experienced in a manga. Holy fuck. Like, good lord. I still fucking love the Rob Lucy fucking Luffy fight. Oh my god. Just the whole content, like everything that built up to that moment was so fucking delicious. Honestly, now I think about it, the parts that shine the most in One Piece are the ones where the pirates and the Marines like have a confrontation. Impel Down, Enies Lobby, the Pirate War, the part I'm at right now. Like, it's when the Marines and the pirates are either working against each other, having a fight. They're in the same room. When they're in the same room, it's fucking cool. It's really fucking cool. Just because, like, they're both very unique teams, you know? They're very unique sides. They both have fruit users. They're different things. They're just unique. They're very fucking cool. It's just so well done. So fucking delicious. So well done. So well done. Nico Robin, best girl. Keep it up. You're the best. It's just amazing. And, like, I can't wait to get caught up and just see where it goes. Because, like, It's still not done, which is crazy to me. It's been going on for almost 20 years. It's not done. It's just the creativity of where you can go, what you can do, the fucking way the ocean works, the different islands. It's just so cool. The fruit powers too. Can't emphasize enough how awesome the fruit powers are, and how we're finding powers like Brooks and Nico Robbins that when we first were introduced to them seemed kind of not lackluster, because Nico Robbins is pretty strong. But like not particularly interesting. And after the 2-year time skip, we're seeing things they learn to do with their powers that are fucking awesome. And we're learning more and more about like what they can do. Like Nico Robbins' fucking power is crazy good. She just wasn't used. She hadn't had time to learn it all. Fucking awesome. Also, her backstory, awesome. Her fucking future story is gonna be super cool. Like the fucking blocks things that she keeps finding, and she can read. She's the only one who can read them. And like the story she's finding out, and like that's actually the one thing. I'm not a huge fan of the climax of the battle of Fisherman's Horizon. That's from Final Fantasy VIII. Fishman Island, whatever that was, the thing where underwater I was just at. I'm not a huge fan of the battle climax with Hody or whatever the fuck his name is, fish guy. But the scene after that, or was it before that? Basically, when Nico Robin and Neptune hang out and they talk for a second about like the ultimate weapon, fucking awesome. And like just the shit we're learning from that, and we're learning such a slow pace, but like it's fucking cool. And it like gives her a reason to be on the ship still. Like I love that. Like I just love how they all have their own objective. And like some of them are kind of vague, like Usopp's. Just like I want to be the best warrior in the ocean. I think it's something to that effect. Or or something grand like Nami's. Like I'm gonna map out the whole ocean. Or Zoro's. I want to be the best swordsman or whatever. And then Brooke wants to go meet the whale again. They met in the beginning of their journey. The Straw Hats before they met Brooke. So stuff like that. Where like some of them are vague, like Zoro's or Usopp's. And then some of or Usopp, I don't know how to pronounce the name, to be honest. Or Brooks, that has a very clear ending point, but that ending point is not till fucking way afterwards. They'll be long done by the time he can complete his journey. Or something like Nico Robbins, that seems literally like earth-shattering. Like if she figures that shit out, holy cow. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping we find out what the more detail to hers, because I have a theory. I'm not going to say what it is yet, because I might be horribly wrong, but we'll see what happens. Also, if anyone else is out there potentially reading it, I don't want to, maybe you're behind me, I don't want to spoil what they find out so far from where I'm at, but I'm curious to see what happens. I'd like to know more about where it goes. I have a theory. I literally just thought of it right now, but I'm curious to see where that goes. I forget what the guy's name is. There's a really good YouTuber who does a lot of cool stuff on One Piece. And actually, if I can remember his name, it's like Taka... No, what is it? You know what? I'm just going to look it up. Fuck it. We're looking stuff up on a fucking podcast. Tekking 101. That's his name. He is pretty fucking awesome, actually. He basically just does, like, One Piece videos, more or less. But he does them in, the only video I've seen of his, I didn't mean to click on that. The only video I've ever seen of his, he went over, the world, how the world is set up in One Piece, because it's very weird, kind of unique the way it's set up with like the way the oceans are set up, the Grand Line current, the Red Line. But it was a good indicator of how it worked, and he mapped it out in a good way. But his other videos that are probably pretty high, I haven't even watched all of them, to be completely honest. But there's one I saw he had that was describing the what do you call them? The Marines and their fucking their rankings, like, because sometimes they just say these terms. They're like admiral, vice admiral, fucking, I don't remember what the other ones are called, but the captain's one of them. I don't know, but like, I don't really. I know captain is under vice admiral because the captain is under Smoker. So like, and he's vice admiral, I think. But like, what does that mean in great? So there's stuff like that. And I'm looking right now. He's got one on fucking explaining Law's power, and Law's power is super whack. I honestly am unsure exactly what it does. I mean, I can kind of explain it, but I'm not going to get into it because I feel like the reveal is cool to people coming up to it. But it's a weird power. It's a very odd power. So, like, he's got these pretty useful videos just describing, like, the weirder nuances of the weirder nuances of these aspects of One Piece because One Piece is very unique. It honestly has like almost zero fucking place in reality. It has like no place. Like there's very little you can pull from because it's so different than our world that like it can be a little confusing, and just like understand. Like I don't even understand our military ranks, let alone fucking the Marine military ranks of One Piece. So I might actually watch that one just to understand because there's so many fucking terms that are thrown around, and every time the fucking Marines are on screen, they're just talking, and it's like I think Small Crew took over for one of the guys, the main three. I don't even know. I have to figure it out. But it just, One Piece is so good. So good. Oh my God. Oh boy. Well, I've been talking for like an hour and a half, so I think I'll just shut up now. All right, well, thanks for listening to me rant and ramble for an hour and a half by myself. Hopefully this one is significantly less stupid than the last one I did, less boring. That was so awful. That was fucking garbage. I don't know. Apologies for that one, but I was in a rush. But hopefully this one was not bad. So this will be out whenever. Sometime this weekend. I don't know. All right, well, these will be, actually, they're on iTunes now. Figured that out. So they'll be on iTunes. It's on YouTube, as it usually is, SoundCloud. I'm going to actually say that right now. SoundCloud is out, and you can download it from SoundCloud. People keep saying, like, oh, we should have a place to download it. It's on SoundCloud. If you want it there, you can download it. It's all good. It's all free. You're good to go. I just have to pay SoundCloud money because I forgot to do that. And then it's all there. All the episodes for download. Feel free to do it that way. They're all off download. But if you have iTunes, you can download them from there too. Because that's the same thing. That's the RSS feeds from SoundCloud. Whatever. It was far easier to put up things on iTunes than I thought it was going to be. I left myself thinking it was going to be super hard. It's actually super easy. You think something as big as fucking iTunes would be a challenge, but no, it was piss easy. So, but yeah, do that. I should probably figure out a way. I mean, I don't know. I would think there's got to be something I should probably do for like Android users, but like SoundCloud should also work. But I mean, I don't want to tell you to use something you don't use. I don't know. If you are an Android user and you use a different thing that's not Stitcher, because I don't want to fucking deal with them because they're a pain in the butt. I've tried already to get them on Stitcher, and they're fucking no. They're telling me things I don't like. I'll do it if I have to, but just I don't know. If anyone's actually a fucking Android user, just let me know. I don't actually know what people do for podcasts on there. I think Google Play is a big one. Maybe just tell me. I don't know. I don't even know how many of you fucking listen on fucking Android. And if you're just cool with SoundCloud, I'll just do that. Save me some time. I don't know. They all go to the same place. Anyway, so yeah, just let me know what is up with that, I guess. And just just let me know, because I don't know. But for the meantime, it's on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, as it always is. Let me know if people care about this. I don't know. I hear some people give feedback, It's always appreciated. Let me know. I don't know. Do people even like these that are alone? Do people listen to the end? I don't even know. I don't know anything about what like your listening habits. I could find out, but I think I'd rather not find out using like metadata and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want that shit. It probably won't affect me, but I don't want it to affect me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to risk me finding something out and then either changing something of the way I'm doing something or doing this. I don't want to find out information that makes me I end up changing something or doing something different. So I might just kind of keep doing what I'm doing for now. I might timestamp this one. I'm going to cut this out if I don't. Or I'll probably just leave it in, regardless. Yeah, I don't know. I only talked about a few things. But, like, actually, no, I probably will. I don't know, it doesn't matter. All right, well, with that, I'm just rambling on at this point. But with that is the end of episode, what are we on, 12, 13, 12? I think we're at 12. All right, love and kisses.